All right, so let's just dive right into this video. The first thing you're gonna need to do is buy yourself a 77 to 89 two-door Caprice. Second thing you're gonna need is that you're gonna need to buy a donor car. That's gonna be either late 80s, early 90s Pontiac Sunbird or a Chevy Cavalier. So once you have both of those cars, you're gonna go ahead and just gut your whole interior, and I'm gonna put like a little video right here of what it's like, kind of what you got to take off. You got to take off all your panels, pretty much everything. The next thing you're gonna do after that is that you're gonna remove your windows. You're gonna remove your quarter windows, you remove your rear glass, and all the little trims that you could end up selling on eBay or to another friend. Next step would be you're gonna be installing the braces inside your door jambs. Then you go from the front to the back. You could get away just with that if you're not gonna be like removing the body off the frame and stuff like that. I only did the front to the back even with removing the frame, and I did notice a difference in movement. So I would go from the middle across, from the back to the front, from the back to the top of the A-pillar. So now after that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut your roof off. Now what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna measure about 6 inches away from here, okay? So I mean, there's really nowhere else. Don't get it from the glass because the glass could be off a little bit. Just grab it from this edge right here, go about 6 inches. There's this other special tool that I used. It's not very expensive. I think they're like 10 bucks, where you could kind of form the edge and it'll just lock it into place, and you can just grab it with your marker and just mark your whole edge all the way across. And what I did was I made a line of 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, just to give me kind of a grid. And then on the back right here, same thing. You're going to have to go with your curve, and you're going to have to invent it. You can't put a straight edge here and mark a straight line because it's not going to work. You're just going to have to go with it and just progress, getting bigger as you go. Same thing, draw one line out, right? And then go 1 inch above that when you're cutting your top off. Because once you cut it too low, it's going to be harder to add material back to it. It's easier to cut a little than to have to add another piece back onto it. So now let's talk about all the metal you're gonna have to cut out of the car, because once you cut your top off, you're still gonna have metal right here. You're gonna have metal all back there, which is that rear deck lid. Not all that has to come out. So what I would recommend you to do would be to cut it straight down here, cut it off right here. So you're basically taking off this piece, right? Then you're gonna want to save this rear seat brace right here. So pretty much just slid it as best as you could right down there, so you could cut out everything else that has to do with all of this right here. So pretty much all this has to come out. I'm gonna remove that. See, and this is where your trunk hinges are at. On the Chevy Caprices, you're gonna have to cut as far back as possible. So you're gonna have to lose your tension bars for your trunk, because you need this space right here. Now someone else might say something different that you don't, but I just don't see where else the top's gonna go in. Like, this is basically the top, this is where it's at. And I feel that that's not even enough room. But this is one of those scenarios where we're just making it happen type of thing. Oh wow. Okay, so yeah, and same goes when you're cutting this back piece right here. So I believe it's gonna be maybe like somewhere around here. You're gonna start off, just make grids, go 1 inch or ½ an inch and just draw lines. I did them with the chalk line, so I basically just measured 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. I did the same thing on that side, had someone hold it on that side, boom, snap the line, and just drew chalk lines all the way back. That way your lines are straight. And where I messed up was I welded the catwalk to the car, and now I'm dealing with that issue. I should have never done that. Now I gotta go back and body work this piece right here, because I cut it out. You're supposed to have some sort of flex there. It's not supposed to be tied into the car. All right, so now we're gonna talk about reinforcements. So for reinforcements, what I did, which I don't know if anyone else does it or not, but I felt like it's something I had to do, even though some people might think it's overkill. But I ran this C channel in here all the way to the back. All right, then you want to come over to the back. Same thing. I haven't seen anybody else do this reinforcement. Might be overkill, but went ahead and ran a C channel right in there all the way across. That's just to keep it all from flexing. All right, so once you got your car all gutted out, you know, where you got your top off, interior's off, windows are off, you got all the metal right here, it's all been taken off, you know, you're basically wide open, you're ready to start working. What I would do then is just stop, go to your donor car, and it's time to start taking that apart. All right, so the first thing you're gonna remove on your Sunbird or on your Chevy Cavalier is gonna be these side panels that go right here. So you're gonna pop those off, set them to the side. Then you're gonna have access to go ahead and remove your seats out of that car. Those are trash. You're more than likely not gonna use them unless you want to try to retrofit them like on a G-body or something. But other than that, I wouldn't use them on this car. I would just use your original seats and cut them down to size. On this one, we are putting some Mercedes seats, but that's gonna take a lot more fabricating to get them to work on here. All right, so now you got your seats off. Now you can go ahead and cut the material. If the car still has the material top on it, cut the material so you can be able to work comfortably here. And in order to take off the actual rack, it's only these two bolts right here. But I would take off these two bolts to be able to have it open freely. So you take these two bolts off right here on each side. That's gonna go ahead and let you open the rack, close the rack, open the rack, close the rack. Because if not, you have to go and put power to the battery and hopefully the motor works and everything. So go ahead and take your convertible top off, put that to the side. So after you've taken your top off, what you're gonna wanna do is take off the cylinders with the motor, with the wiring. Cut it after the connection, don't cut it before it. That way you could just still have this connector for a quick disconnect. Pop that off, put it to the side. After that, you're gonna remove your quarter glasses, which is gonna be doing it something like this. So it's gonna have these two bolts, and it's gonna have one down here, which on this car I haven't put it yet, but it's more of a stabilizer, and it'll come right up. You'll disconnect the motor right here, which will have the picture as well. See that? Keep your connectors, cut them as far as you could. See, there's that other reinforcement there. That ain't going nowhere. So the reason I was saying earlier about setting these aside, which is like the rear panels of the convertible, is because later in the video I'm going to try to retrofit these to make them work here, instead of having to make, you know, this whole thing out of wood. You know, just try to get them where it comes off the other car, make a couple modifications, and boom, bolt it right into your car. Okay, so one thing you want to make sure you don't want to forget inside the donor car are these pinch moldings right here. That basically, oh, it goes this way. That basically go right here. And what these are for, the material comes over this way, your upholstery guy will staple it to this rubber part right here, then it gets bolted onto the car, and that's what's going to hold your material in. That other piece right there, all it is it's just a trim that it's going to look nice. It's going to cover it up. They come bent a little bit, so you'll have to straighten them out and kind of make your own curve. All you're doing is making something that's going to tighten the material down to the car. So you're gonna want to get the header off the donor car. You want to make sure you get the headliner piece, the metal trim that goes right behind the headliner piece. A lot of times people will take this off and they'll leave that other trim there. You want to take that one off. So when this comes off, there's going to be some screws in there. Take those screws off and that piece will come out. Want to make sure you don't mess up this switch. Hopefully you get a model that does have this switch. I'm not too sure, but some of them might have the switch at the bottom, like somewhere here. So you want to trace that wire down and cut it as far as possible. Right here I have all brand new wire because I messed up and I believe I cut it here, but I could have went further down. But that's just to, you know, there's no real power going through that wire. That's just going to be like your switch power. I guess I should have started with these because these are gonna have to come off first. So this piece is gonna be in this location on the donor car, which is gonna be mounted on this location on your car. So don't forget this piece right here. And we'll talk more about the installation of these parts when we get to that point. But it'll look something like this. Alright, well that'll be the end of this video. Go ahead and cut it right here, and then I'll get this one loaded up and then work on part 2.